Since you were a little kid, you have been told the exact same formula for success. Go to school, get a good job, and work hard. If you just work harder than everyone else, you will eventually become rich. But look around. The people doing the hardest physical labor are usually the ones struggling the most to pay their rent. The idea that hard work equals wealth is a complete lie. Welcome back. I am Dollar Dave, and today we are going to break the final chain keeping you trapped in the rat race. The problem with working for money is that you are playing a game with a strict speed limit. You only have 24 hours in a day. You have to sleep, eat, and commute. Even if you are a highly paid doctor or lawyer making $300 an hour, you are still trading your physical time for cash. The second you stop doing surgery, the money completely stops. You are just a very expensive hamster on a very fast wheel. To actually build wealth, you have to decouple your money from your time. You have to stop being an employee and start being a general. I want you to look at every single dollar in your bank account, not as paper to buy things, but as a tiny, tireless soldier. When you buy a coffee or a new video game, you are sending your soldiers to the graveyard. They're gone forever. But if you deploy them into the right investments, something magical happens. They don't just survive. They start working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, creating tiny clones of themselves.
So, how do these little green soldiers actually clone themselves? It is a mathematical phenomenon that Albert Einstein reportedly called the eighth wonder of the world. It is called compound interest. But forget the boring math equations. Think of it like this. You send 100 soldiers into the battlefield of the stock market. After 1 year, they have worked hard and they recruited 10 new soldiers for you. You now have 110 soldiers. That is pretty good. But here's where the magic happens. In year 2, your original 100 soldiers recruit 10 more. But those new 10 soldiers from last year, they're adults now, and they start recruiting too. Suddenly, your army is growing faster and faster, and you're not doing any extra work. You're just sitting back, drinking a smoothie, watching your army expand. In the beginning, the growth looks incredibly slow. It's like rolling a tiny snowball down a very long hill. For the first few years, it's just a small ball of snow. But as it rolls, it picks up more snow, which makes it heavier, which makes it roll faster, which makes it pick up even more snow. By the time it reaches the bottom of the hill 10 or 20 years later, that tiny snowball is a massive, unstoppable avalanche of wealth.
But before you start building your army, you need to know about a silent assassin. The biggest mistake people make is thinking they can protect their soldiers by just locking them in a dark room. They put their cash in a basic savings account, or they stuff it under the mattress. They think, my money is perfectly safe here. Nobody can touch it. But they are completely wrong. There is an invisible enemy that is breaking into your house every single night and executing your sleeping soldiers. That enemy is called inflation. Inflation is the quiet monster that makes the cost of groceries, rent, and gas go up every year. Even if you have the exact same number of dollar bills under your mattress, those bills are losing their strength. 10 years ago, one of your soldiers could buy a whole meal. Today, that same soldier can barely buy a cup of coffee. By keeping your money in cash, you are not protecting your army. You are slowly starving them to death. If you want your clones to survive, you have to get them out of the house and send them to the right training camp.
So, where do you send your soldiers to train? Most people march their entire army straight into a traditional bank savings account. The banker smiles, locks your soldiers in a steel vault, and gives you 1% interest. But remember the inflation monster. He is growing at 3 or 4% a year. Your soldiers in the bank are just sleeping on bunk beds, getting weaker and weaker every single day. The bank is a terrible barracks. If you want a real army, you have to send them to the elite training camp. You have to deploy them into the stock market. Now, I'm not talking about gambling on random crypto coins or picking individual stocks. That is like sending your troops into a minefield blindfolded. I am talking about the ultimate battle-tested fortress, the S&P 500 index fund. When you send your soldiers here, they don't sleep. They immediately go to work for the 500 biggest, most profitable companies in America. They're building iPhones for Apple. They are delivering packages for Amazon. They're selling software for Microsoft. You are letting the smartest CEOs in the world command your troops, and in return, they send you back new clones every single year. But here is the trap that catches 99% of people. When payday arrives, they draft a brand new army of soldiers, but instead of keeping them, they immediately give them all away. They send a battalion to the landlord. They send a platoon to the car dealership. They send squads to Netflix, Amazon, and the grocery store. By the end of the month, the general has 0 soldiers left for his own army. If you want to build wealth, you must follow the golden rule of the wealthy. Pay yourself first. Before you pay a single bill, before you buy a single coffee, you take 10 or 20% of your new soldiers and you immediately deploy them to the elite training camp. You do this the exact same day you get paid. You do not rely on your willpower. You set up an automatic transfer. You build a machine that automatically drafts your troops and sends them to the battlefield before you even have a chance to spend them on a giant plushie. The soldiers you pay to yourself are the only ones that will ever fight for your freedom. Now, I know exactly what you are thinking. Dave, what happens when the stock market crashes? What about 2008? What about 2020? You turn on the news and they are screaming that the economy is collapsing. You look at your investment account and it is down 30%. It looks like your entire army just walked into a massive ambush and got wiped out. Panic sets in. You want to hit the sell button, pull your remaining troops out and hide them back under the mattress. But listen to me very carefully. That is an illusion. Your soldiers are not dead. The stock market fluctuates, meaning the price of the companies drops temporarily. Your soldiers are just pinned down in the trenches, waiting out the storm. The only way you actually permanently kill your soldiers is if you panic and hit that sell button. If you call a retreat while the market is down, you lock in your losses forever. The greatest generals in history do the exact opposite. They know that a market crash is just a massive clearance sale on wealth. While everyone else is running away terrified, the smart general is sending in reinforcements. They are buying more index funds because everything is 30% off. If you just hold the line, history proves that the American market always recovers, hits new all-time highs, and your army comes out stronger than ever. So, what is the single most powerful weapon your army has? It is not your IQ. It is not how much money you make at your day job. The ultimate weapon of wealth is time. Time is the fuel that powers the cloning machine. Let me show you how unfair this math really is. Let us look at 2 generals. General Alex starts drafting his army at age 20. He only sends 100 soldiers a month into the index fund, but he does it consistently. General Bob waits until he is 40 years old to start investing. Bob makes a lot more money, so he sends a massive battalion of 1,000 soldiers every single month trying to catch up. When they both turn 65, who has the bigger army? General Alex wins, easily. Even though Bob invested way more of his own physical money, Alex's original soldiers had 20 extra years to clone themselves. The clones made clones, and those clones made clones. The snowball was rolling down the hill for so long that it became mathematically impossible for Bob to catch up. Every single day you wait to start investing, you are robbing your future self of millions of clones. It does not matter if you only have $50 a month. Do not wait until everything is perfect. Draft your first squad of soldiers today and let time do the heavy lifting.
If you consistently send your soldiers to the elite training camp of index phones and you let them clone themselves for a decade or two, something unbelievable happens. For the first few years, your own physical labor is the main engine of your wealth. You are working hard to draft those soldiers, but eventually your army gets so massive that the math flips upside down. You hit what I call the tipping point. This is the exact moment when the clones created by your army in 1 year equal more money than you make working your full-time job. Let that sink in. While you are sleeping, while you are watching TV, while you're on vacation, your army of tiny green soldiers is out there in the economy, generating an entire annual salary for you. You do not have to lift a finger. At this point, working a job becomes completely optional. You can quit, you can start a business, you can travel the world. You are no longer working for money because you finally built a machine that works for you. You have successfully won the war against the rat race. But the best part about this army is that it is virtually immortal. If you remember the 4% rule from our Mechanical Goose video, you know exactly how this works. Once your army is large enough, you can pull out 4% of your soldiers every single year to pay for your lifestyle. And because the remaining 96% of your soldiers are still out there fighting and cloning themselves, your army will never actually shrink. It replenishes itself forever. When your time on this earth is done, your army does not die with you. You hand the command codes over to your children and then to your grandchildren. You are not just escaping the rat race for yourself. You are changing your entire family tree. You are giving them the ultimate shield against the carnival of illusions. A properly built army of index funds is the only true form of immortality in the financial world. Generals, here are your final marching orders. Step 1. Stop sending your soldiers to the graveyard by buying things you do not need. Step 2. Pay yourself first. Automatically draft 10 or 20% of your soldiers the day you get paid. Step 3. Deploy them into the elite barracks of index funds, like the S&P 500. Step 4. Let time do the work. Ignore the market crashes. Ignore the news and watch the clones multiply. The clock is ticking, and every day you wait is a day of freedom you lose. Now, if you want to know exactly how society tricks you into spending all your soldiers and why trying to look rich is keeping you broke, you need to watch my video on the Carnival of Illusions. Click the video on the screen right now to uncover the middle-class trap. I am Dollar Dave. Keep building, keep saving, and I will see you in the next one.